Was it just a routine checkup gone wrong? Or did something much more serious happen to Jimin during his intense military training? What made Jungkook drop everything, even in uniform, and rush into a quiet, tightly guarded military hospital past curfew? No one expected the silence to be broken so suddenly. For weeks, fans had been adjusting to the temporary absence of BTS members as they diligently served their country, honoring both duty and discipline. But beneath the calm exterior of military life, a quiet storm had been brewing, one that would soon shake the hearts of millions across the globe. The first clue didn't come in the form of an official statement. It wasn't a headline or a broadcast. It was a whisper, a hurried post, a fan sighting outside a remote military hospital late one night. "I think I just saw Jungkook enter the base hospital," a user wrote, hands trembling. "He looked anxious. Really anxious. I've never seen him like that." Soon after, social media exploded. Within minutes, Jungkook, Jimin, and military hospital were trending worldwide. The BTS Army had questions, endless questions. Why was Jungkook there? What happened to Jimin? Was he injured or was it worse? Had he collapsed? Was it exhaustion? Dehydration? Something more dangerous? The silence from the agency only fueled the chaos. But even in that silence, fragments of the truth began to surface, weaving a heartbreaking story no one was ready for. In this deeply emotional and revealing report, we uncover every layer of what happened between Jungkook and Jimin behind those military hospital walls. What exactly did Jungkook see when he entered that sterile room under flickering lights? Why did he freeze before stepping forward? Why did nurses and soldiers turn away with lowered eyes when he asked questions? What truth was waiting at Jimin's bedside, and what did Jungkook whisper when he finally saw him? As more pieces fell into place, a story unfolded that shook the entire fanbase. Not just because of what happened, but because of how deeply it revealed the bond between these two young men, even in a place meant to strip away emotion. This wasn't just about military duty anymore. It was about friendship, fear, love, and the quiet breaking of a soldier's heart. Let's go back to where it all began. Back to the brutal week of extreme training that tested the limits of every recruit, including one who was already pushing past his physical boundaries just to keep up. Absolutely. Let's dive deeper into the story, continuing where we left off. Right before the breaking point, the final training drill that changed everything. The last week of March at the military base was reported to be unusually intense. Rumors of heightened training schedules, extended night drills, and physical endurance challenges began circulating on online forums run by military families. Among those training quietly was Park Jimin, known to the world as one of the most graceful dancers and vocalists in BTS, now just another soldier in camo. But those who had seen him said something felt off. He looked like he was struggling, but he kept going, wrote one anonymous source claiming to be a fellow recruit. "We had to run up hills with full gear. Some of us barely made it." But Jimin didn't stop. Even when his lips turned pale, even when his hands were shaking. "I saw him press a hand to his chest once, but he looked straight ahead, eyes glazed, like he wasn't going to let anyone see him fall." That night, temperatures dropped below freezing. While most were allowed rest after the grueling exercise, Jimin reportedly volunteered for an extra shift, sweeping the training grounds, his uniform damp with sweat and cold mist. Why? No one knows for sure. Some believe he was trying to prove something. Others whisper he was hiding something, but one soldier, who asked to remain unnamed, revealed this chilling detail. "I saw him sit down behind the supply shed for just a second. I thought he was catching his breath. But then he slumped forward. I rushed over and he was burning up. His skin was hot, but he was trembling like a leaf." That was the last time anyone saw Jimin conscious before he was rushed to the military hospital. News reaches Jungkook. The silent panic Jungkook was stationed in a different camp when the news came through encrypted channels. He was finishing his own drills, drenched in sweat and dust, when a superior called him aside. "No words," one fellow recruit recalled. "Just a hand on his shoulder and a nod toward the barracks." The officer didn't say what happened, but something in Jungkook's face changed. He didn't even ask questions. He just walked. Then he ran. Jungkook changed into his regulation hospital visitation uniform so fast that his boots were half-laced. He didn't wait for clearance, he begged for it. something that rarely happens in military environments. He wasn't Jungkook the idol anymore. He was Jungkook the soldier, breaking protocol not out of rebellion, but out of desperation. It was late, almost midnight, when he arrived at the military hospital inside the hospital walls. The first glimpse, the base hospital wasn't like those fans might imagine.
No polished marble. No sunlight.
Just white walls, flickering overhead lights, and the quiet hum of machines breathing on behalf of patients. Security was tight, even more so when someone like Jungkook entered. But there were no cameras.
No phones. No social media.
Only silence and the heartbeat of someone he had always looked up to, someone he wasn't ready to see like this. Jimin was lying there, wrapped in 2 layers of military blankets. His skin was pale, too pale. A nurse nearby whispered that he had been severely dehydrated, with dangerously low blood pressure and symptoms of heatstroke mixed with cold exposure. It was a volatile combination, one that could have been fatal if he had collapsed even 10 minutes later. Jungkook didn't say anything at first. He just stood there, fists clenched, staring at his friend's face as if trying to memorize every contour before it could disappear. And then, quietly, with trembling fingers, he reached out and touched Jimin's wrist. That's when the tears came. Not loudly, not in sobs, but silently, like rain falling on stone. The whisper that broke Jungkook. Nurses gave Jungkook space. The doctor told him he only had 15 minutes, but no one had the heart to ask him to leave. It was during that time, in the hush of the night, that something unexpected happened. Jimin stirred, his eyes fluttered open. Not fully, just enough to register the shadow beside him. His lips moved, cracked from fever, and a single hoarse word escaped. Kook. It was barely audible, but Jungkook heard it. His knees gave out and he knelt beside the bed. I'm here, he whispered back. Jung, I'm here. You scared me. You really? His voice cracked. You really scared me. What followed was the kind of silence that holds 1,000 unsaid things. Jungkook didn't ask why Jimin hadn't spoken up. He didn't need to. He knew why. He knew that Jimin, always the gentle, always the resilient, didn't want anyone to see him as weak, not even when his body was screaming for help. But in that moment he didn't look weak. He looked human. And Jungkook? He looked like someone who'd just been handed his heart back after almost losing it. The letter hidden in Jimin's locker. The next day, after Jimin was stabilized, Jungkook returned to the barracks with a heavy heart. He went to Jimin's locker, quietly, with permission, and found something that would later break fans' hearts around the world. A folded letter, half-written, addressed simply to Jungkook. It wasn't long. It wasn't poetic, but it was raw. Kook, if I don't come back from training one day, don't be sad, okay? I don't want to be remembered for breaking down. I just want you to remember that I tried. I really tried. I hope you're doing okay in your camp. I miss talking to you. It's been hard here. I'm not complaining, sometimes I get scared. But I'm proud of you. Always. Jungkook didn't show the letter to many people, but someone who read it said his hand shook for hours after. That night, he requested to write his own letter to Jimin. But it wasn't a goodbye. It was a promise. Jungkook's letter. A soldier's vow. Hyung, don't you ever write something like that again. If you're scared, you tell me. If you're tired, you tell me. You don't get to leave without saying goodbye. You don't get to push yourself until you collapse just to prove something. You already proved everything. You don't owe anyone anything. I miss you too. Get better. I'll be back as soon as I can. And when I get there, we're talking. For hours. You're not alone. Not now. Not ever. That letter never reached Jimin's hands directly, but it was placed beside his bed by a nurse who said she saw him smile faintly in his sleep that night.